Chapter 50 of BAKI RAHEN has officially released after an entire month, and this chapter has changed everything. And Jack Hanma may even be done for. But before I start today's video, if you would like to interact with me, my community, show off your art, drop some memes, talk in general, or maybe even self-promote, then you can join the Discord that can be found in the description box below. But anyway, in the last chapter of BAKI RAHEN, Jack Hanma had continued to make some very valiant attempts to injure Hanayama, but it had only led to Jack being countered in the end. Chapter 50 of BAKI RAHEN, titled Rush Again, with a new issue being released and the cover of today's chapter being a sweaty BAKI Hanma that seems to be most likely training. And we are in the perspective of Hanayama. It was my first year of middle school. I was 13. I did some pretty stupid things back then too. A 13-year-old Hanayama's arm was then shown being extended as another student had asked him if he was ready before this student would then proceed to twist Hanayama's arm as if it were a towel, instantly triggering Hanayama and causing him to scream and shake in pain as his bully had stood there amused by this. It was unbelievably painful. In the name of that powerful technique, towel ringing. There is a bit of a trick to it, as this bully seems to have not been extremely strong, as the teenage Hanayama's arm was ultimately alright with just a red mark being left on his arm and no permanent injury. To execute this technique, you have to make sure that there is no gap, and that is it. The person who had used this on Hanayama was a teen named Yoshida, who was not great in school and was not exactly very strong, but when it came to fighting and the towel ringing method, he was extremely gifted. And now we are brought back to the present, where Hanayama has executed the ring technique on Jack's forearm, causing it to explode and shoot blood out, though Jack's old bite is still causing Hanayama to also blast some blood out of his shoulder as well. As we then receive a much closer look at Jack's forearm, and it is seriously messed up as the muscle fibers in his arm are now showing through the surface, and there is no skin left to cover them. Hanayama KAORU has in the past taken a tire with his bare hands and torn it apart with ease. A grip capable of shedding a tire, and when you apply that kind of power to the towel ringing technique, it is no longer some childish prank, but rather a deadly technique. And as we can see Hanayama using this technique on Jack, Hanayama's grip strength is really put into perspective, as Jack's pumped up arm was smushed down and contorted. The police and Hanayama's associate were left shell-shocked by the brutality from Hanayama. Though this fight is not over. Hanayama had then thrown a perfect left kick to Jack's head with yet again an insane level of speed and seemingly power as well. He kicked him, a Yakuza kick, with the crowd being just as surprised as me at the fact that Hanayama has successfully executed a perfect kick to Jack's face. Jack was knocked back, and Hanayama knew this was his chance to strike and did not let up or disappoint. Hanayama threw another kick, this time with his right leg to Jack's stomach, which, as we all know, if executed correctly, this kick could be deadly. And in this case, it most certainly would be for any average human, as Jack's body had begun to shake as his eyes widened. What an insane kick, that's gotta have done him in. It is not the kick of a martial artist, and yet it is a very rational kick. A liquid was then seen hitting the ground. It was Jack puking, holding onto his stomach, and I cannot imagine how bad that kick would hurt on a full stomach. He chucked up, but Hanayama was not done. He is going for the knockout. Yet again, Hanayama kept the pressure on and is insanely locked in. Jack was launched to the floor headfirst into the ground, as both blood and puke was flying rampantly through the air, as Hanayama was still standing tall and proud. And in my opinion, this panel has to be one of, if not the best panel of BAKI RAHEN thus far. Itagaki was locked in, but the police were done with this fight and said that this is enough, we're going in. Nobody move, police, stop right there. And they have finally moved in and interfered, roguely of course though, as the police chief wanted nothing to do with getting in the middle of these two monsters. And though we were all under the impression that the police's interference would not affect this fight, I think Itagaki had hit us with an insane hezi, and this may just be the end of Jack Hanma versus KAORU Hanayama. And assuming Hanayama is left the victor, Jack has been defeated in his own arc, and Hanayama has defied all of the odds. And Hanayama is officially one of the few fighters in this series that have defeated the most powerful trait in all of fighting manga, plot armor. And there will be a week break until chapter 51 of BAKI RAHEN is released, with the chapter releasing on September 10th for American and European readers, and September 11th for the readers in Asia. This chapter was honestly so refreshing for me personally, and was in all honesty peak, as Hanayama has officially proven himself to be in the top 5 conversation in BAKI. And though it was debatable before, I think Hanayama has left no more room for conversation. He is solidified. and it seems that Jack was not only knocked unconscious but also bled out, which was indicated by the blood that he is surrounded by, which is honestly quite ironic considering that making people bleed out is Jack's best advantage as a character, which has allowed him to get multiple wins against powerful opponents, with the most notable being Nomi no Sukune. But this ending does not mean that Jack is weak in the slightest, but Hanayama is genuinely just that strong, which is surprisingly not expected. I mean, after all, Hanayama had his own spin-off for years, and everybody knows when you become a main character you get a certain power boost. Though something that is surprising is Hanayama throwing kicks. With Hanayama throwing kicks, having the grip strength that is obviously immensely strong, and this new crazy speed of his, Hanayama may just be Baki level eventually, which would make sense. I mean, after all, Hanayama was Baki's rival all through their teenage years, and I'm pretty sure that he still is technically Baki's rival. Also, this towel ringing technique of Hanayama's is immensely powerful, as Hanayama's hands will more likely than not always be free and not restrained thanks to his physical strength. And speaking of this new technique, I never knew Hanayama was bullied as a teenager in middle school. I may have missed a couple chapters in Baki Gaiden, but for me personally, this is brand new news, and it really makes me wonder if this has anything to do with Hanayama becoming a street fighter. I mean, after all, it would make sense. And obviously, Hanayama being a part of the mob now is an influence on him becoming a street fighter. But at some point in middle school or high school, Hanayama was probably forced to defend himself in a street fight, leading to him becoming the fighter that he is today. And it was also stated that the guy that bullied Hanayama in middle school was not even really that strong. So honestly, our guy Hanayama was probably just a little bit of a softie in middle school. And also, this would explain his ethics and morals that he has during his fights, as he does not really hit anybody when they're down. And he does not fight unfairly, as he refused to fight Jack when he was injured and wanted to fight him when he was healed, with Hanayama even sending Jack items such as beef to assist him in his recovery. And as for the next chapter of Baki Rahen, I believe Jack will probably be recovering, though it will most certainly not take as long as the last time that Jack was hurt thanks to this injury not being blinding. And Jack will probably be able to just walk this injury off thanks to him just being an absolute unit. And in all honesty, even though Jack has lost this fight, this will better him as a fighter, as with every loss, Jack will learn something new and adapt. Thanks to this fight, I believe Jack will learn to not underestimate his opponents anymore, as Jack had went in this fight completely confident and honestly a little bit cocky, which had only led to Jack being humbled in the end and Hanayama winning. But that is going to be all for today's chapter. Let me know in the comment section below, did you enjoy? And if you enjoyed today's video and would like to support me, then you can leave a like and subscribe. It is completely free on your end and helps me out way more than you may think. And once again, if you would like to interact with me, my community, show off your art, drop some memes, talk in general, or maybe even self-promote, then you can join the Discord that can be found in the description box below. And also, currently we just hit 9,000 subscribers as of yesterday. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I'm glad you guys are enjoying my content recently. And once I hit 10k, I'm gonna do a little giveaway, give you guys a little money. But nonetheless, thank you guys for 9k. It means more to me than you might think. But that will be all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching until the end, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!